Hit me.
El movimiento de libertad. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao. Bella ciao, ciao, ciao.
Forlita.
Forlita. Let's make some chaos, Danny.
Fumigator. Great.
All right, so I was had the great fortune of attending a virtual remote hands-on demo of Far Cry 6, and I love being able to do that. It's been kind of excuse me, it's been kind of nice in COVID times actually. That I don't have to go anywhere. I can just do these demos from my office. I don't have to book a flight or a hotel. And Ubisoft has been really progressive in this way, like doing quite a few of these remote demos. I demoed Valhalla before that came out, Watch Dogs Legion, the Immortals, Rise of Phoenix or whatever. That was a really fun one. And now Far Cry 6. And this was by far the longest hands-on preview I've been able to do with any game remotely like this, because I played for about 4.5 hours. It was a total of like 4 hours and 40 minutes, but like a good chunk of that was sorting out technical issues with the software. There was some really bad lag, and they fixed that up, and then I was able to play. So Far Cry 6, it will surprise no one to learn that this is a very similar game to Far Cry 3, 4, and 5. Ubisoft makes little innovations and little iterations on each game. There's always obviously a new setting, a new villain, a new protagonist, and all that stuff. But when it comes to gameplay, when it comes to formula, Far Cry 6 is right there with the rest of them. You're in the island nation of Yara, which is an analog for Cuba. You have the new villain, Anton Costilla, who is played by Breaking Bad's Giancarlo Esposito, who is also in like The Mandalorian. He's sort of and The Boys. He's a bad guy in just about everything, and he's a bad guy here. The game is interesting because it's tonally totally whack, right? It's got this very dark sort of almost overly dark and violent and sinister nature to the bad guy and what's going on in this island. But then the gameplay and many of the characters and scenes is totally wacky. You have a pet alligator that can tear up enemies. You also have a pet chihuahua that can distract them through its cuteness. You fly in helicopters and you shoot lots of wacky guns. There's this new Supremo gun, what's actually like a backpack. It's like a special weapon. Confers certain benefits to you, as well as it has a sort of superpower. Like the one I used the most had this rocket barrage you can set off when the timer is refilled. You have it has a cooldown timer, and it's a freaking rocket barrage. One time I wiped out like a whole enemy base. They all ran out to one spot, and I hit them with the rocket barrage, and I just killed all of them at once. It was hilarious. It plays very much like, this is very much like Far Cry 5, right? That's probably the closest, because each game changes a little, and this one adopts a lot of the things that you used in Far Cry 5, like having lots of allies and having pets and all that. It takes that and it runs with it. So for better or worse, right? I often think Far Cry could dial it down a little bit and just go back to more of a straight up shooter with normal guns and not so much wackiness, and just let us do the sandbox thing without all of this stuff going on. And I do think that would probably be better. In terms of this game, the one thing that annoys me the most in this preview, and it's probably, it's definitely carrying over to the main game, is different types of ammo you can mod your guns with, and different enemies have different vulnerabilities to different kinds of ammo. So, heavy troops, armor-piercing rounds work better on them than light troops. You should use standard rounds. And that's fine, except for the fact that you only have a few weapons. So if you're trying to snipe somebody from a distance and you only have standard rounds in your sniper, then you can't snipe the heavies. That's just kind of obnoxious. It's even worse in close quarters combat where, you may be getting rushed by a bunch of different enemy types and you have to figure out, what gun is going to work on each one. That's not very much fun. I think that this was, one of those ideas that sounds good on paper, but in practice kind of limits your play style too much. You already have a limited play style because you have to pick, your loadout. You can't just carry all your different kinds of weapons around. You can't have 3 different kinds of sniper rifles on you at all times. You have to just have, unless you want to run with only sniper rifles. But other than that, there's horses now, which is funny because they should have been in Far Cry 5, considering that was in Montana. And I'm from Montana, so I know there are lots of horses in Montana. I don't know how many there are in Cuba or Yara, but I guess there's a lot because you can find horses everywhere. One thing I liked, and I don't know if this will be in the main build or if this was just the demo. I asked my demoist and they weren't sure, but when you run over bodies or animals or whatever, you just collect their ammo and skins and stuff right away. You don't have to do a separate action to pick it up, and I really like that because it can be so tedious in a game where you are just picking up so much stuff all the time to constantly be picking up all these little things. And it's like The Last of Us Part 2. One of the greatest things I found is in one of the menus you can have auto pickup turned on for as an accessibility feature, and that just saves you so much time, but you still have to grab all that crap. It's annoying. I would trade realism for convenience when it comes to that sort of thing. But yeah, so open world sandbox, we've been there before. If you enjoy it, then you're gonna have fun in Far Cry 6, I think. I really enjoy taking down the fortresses, enemy bases, that kind of try to sneak in, do it all stealthy, don't let anybody see you, disarm the alarms, all that stuff. That's fun for me. I played some co-op, and at one point we flew our helicopter out over an enemy base, and parachuted down, landed on the roof, sniped the bad guys. It was really fun. The graphics, each of these looks better each year. This is another island, but it's not at all like the islands in Far Cry 3. It's not nearly as green. It's much more of a, I don't know, hot colors, brown. There is green, obviously, but it's not as lush, and you have more colonial structures and more. It's a more lived-in place than the Rook Islands of Far Cry 3. And it feels like a new setting. It's not just another jungle island. So zany characters, crazy weapons, overpowered Supremo that I could probably live without, honestly. Cool bad guy, but he's totally ridiculously evil. It's Far Cry. It'll be especially fun to play with a friend. That's what I'm looking forward to. Co-op. I think you could co-op this whole. The more of this game you co-op, probably the more fun it's going to be. Just because you can do more stuff. Coordinate those mission, the bases and the missions and everything else. October 7th is when it comes out. Hopefully the final release isn't as buggy as the preview, which I'm sure the preview being an older build, being remote, all those things do make it a little bit more rough around the edges. And this one I think will be a little, hopefully will be less buggy at launch. Comes to Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, PC, and Stadia, and I think that's everything. October 7th. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll just let a little more of this gameplay footage play for you after I'm done talking. Peace.
done? Clara, it's over. Let's get the fuck out of here.
We couldn't have done it without you, Danny.
We're not done yet. I'm going to hang back, set charges, and make sure those ships are blown to shit.
Check in when you're done, Julio.
Copy that.
Danny, I'm on my way to pick you up.
Eyes up, Danny. Chorizo! Clara, guess who just found where all the coffee is made in Yara?
It's no joke, Danny. This is where the army forces farmers to give up their harvests or get thrown into the camps. Castillo grows rich from the profits and the people starve. You want to stop it? Take the oil powering the factory. And while you're at it, take the fucking factory too.
Should kill the alarm. That camera needs to go.
Buen día.
Soldiers here.
We find them. No hay excusas. They're showing up. ¡Cúbrenme! Nothing there now.
Danny, some tyranny 101. Checkpoints lock down the movement of people across Yara, and will shred your tires with goddamn road spikes. Well, unless you got a horse.
See, I've been through enough of them in Esperanza.
Clear the checkpoints, destroy the billboards, then watch Libertad rise from the ashes.
Come on. Easy now.
Nada. I'm imagining things.
Estoy haciendo mi ronda. Cambio. Sí, todo está tranquilo. En posición. That's it. Whoa!
Checkpoint. Got to behave.
3 meters spread! Whoa!
Muerte!
Freedom!